Welcome back to Sportsworld. Max Presnell joins me from the Aquatic Centre. Max, you were out here yesterday. Were you swimming up and down the pool?
Yeah, I've done 10 laps as a matter of fact, just getting ready for Keith's return.
Well, he has returned, and it was his birthday yesterday. Now, Keith, I know you're middle-aged, but I don't know anybody that's 104 years of age. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bruce. Very kind of you.
Keith, welcome back. We'll talk about Japan in a moment, but in fact, why don't we talk about it right now? What did you think of it, Keith? Because Max and I have been wanting to talk to you for ages about this. I mean, it looked to be a terrific race. Is the Cup as strong as it always has been, or are they having trouble getting the best horses?
I think they're having trouble, Bruce. For example, there was no English horse in the field this year, and for the third time it was won by a Japanese horse. And it really is an anti-climax because they don't show us their horses before the race. We have ample access to the foreign horses, but we don't get to see the local horses. Therefore, it's anticlimactic when they win. And it was a roughhouse race. They don't deal out proper penalties. The jockey Alex Solis, who rode Johan Koorts, his first comment on dismounting was, "Someone will get killed out there." That's the way the Japan Cup is going, and there are a couple of penny ante fines of $200 or $300. Last year, when Kent Desimero mistook the winning post, they fined him $600. The Japanese press, Max, just dealt with him more severely. They ran a photo of him under the heading "Bonehead."
The point is, Keith, though, they're cigarette fines. Now, Japan has always prided itself on clean racing, but that hasn't been the case, particularly this year. Clean racing, lane racing, call it what you like, but when they're going to bring people over here and when it's known amongst riders that you can play fast and loose, well, they're going to get a lot more of the same and somebody could be seriously injured.
I agree, Max, and I mean the prize rewards for the jockeys are gargantuan, and I don't know how you described it, but it's really fob pocket change, the fines for causing interference that is just putting international horses out of any contention in the race. I think they've got to really look at this race to maintain it as a world event.
Well, that's interesting there, Keith, and you've been to a few of them over there, so you've been able to see the trends over the years. Some interference yesterday at Rose Hill in the feature race on the program. Sprint by missed the start, Max, and then did suffer some interference in the straight. I didn't think he was all that disappointing. Christmas Magic winning the race.
No, he certainly missed the start, but he's a second sprint horse. Looked very lean and light before the race. He could have been over the top. It was quite a good performance. Although he did strike interference in the straight, I do think the winner had him beaten at the time. Might have cost him half a length. He was beaten 3/4 of a length. Now, you'll have a look there. Now, Larry Cassidy had a peep over his shoulder. He said, "I've got you done, son." Now, Glenn Boss has gone for the whip on the horse on the outside. That's Sprint by. And you'll see that Christmas Magic does move out, making the runner-up switch course there. And while it did cost him ground, I don't think it cost him nearly as much as what he was beaten by. But Sprint by is a very promising horse and will win plenty of races.
First time he's actually been beaten in a race. He was disqualified him. And what about from the Villiers? Will the Christmas Magic go on or Sprint by to that race?
Christmas Magic definitely has been set for the Villiers. He's a tough horse. He's in form. He's got to get 1,600 metres at Randwick. I wonder about his class, but he will be competitive. Sprint by, as I said, looked light yesterday. I'd be surprised if he could back up and be effective in the Villiers.
Keith, Chief De Beers was pretty impressive in the Doomben Stakes yesterday. This horse has run up a couple of wins while you were away, and he continued on his winning way. It was his 4th win in succession this time in.
Yes, he's a very good 3-year-old, Bruce. 6 wins and 6 placings from only 12 starts now. He was competitive with their top 3-year-old on the Gold Coast last season. He must be the best 3-year-old in Queensland, surely.
Well, I guess the Brave Warrior people might take him on over a middle distance, but this is more a sprinter. Buck's Pride, unfortunately, was scratched from the race. I've just got a feeling, to Keith and Max, that this fellow might be an in-between horse. He might be a 1,400-metre horse rather than a pure sprinter or a miler like a Doncaster.
He's got plenty of acceleration. You might be right there, but if you get a top-class sprinter under the right conditions with the right weight, they will get a mile. But you're probably right, Bruce. His maximum distance, his maximum best distance, I would say, be around about the metric 7.
He's a 3-year-old, and he gave Flying Tycoon an older horse weight, so it was a pretty good performance. Now, the richest race around Australia yesterday was the Western Australian Oaks. It was an impressive performance by an outstanding filly. She was 7-2 on Beaux Art.
500 metres out, Vulnerable swept up and raced to the lead from Ellesmere Lass. Boart has moved up within a length of Vulnerable. They've got away from Provocative Lady, calling it a day. Then Jungle Jester, Mazzaro, Hit Your Kick, Roman Rose, Little Girl Blue. It's a race in two in the Oaks, though, at the 300. Hustwit moves on Boart, but Vulnerable is trying to stick with her. Vulnerable and Boart, with Boart taking the lead at the 150 mark. It's Boart. He draws the whip and she races away from Vulnerable. And this is the filly which has eclipsed all before her this summer. Boart races home and scores an outstanding win in the Oaks, 2.5 lengths on Vulnerable.
Gee, there was a gap there. Where was Provocative Lady, your horse, Max?
Well, Provocative Lady is still a maiden in Sydney. You wonder about the quality of her rivals, but Boart is obviously very good.
Keith, Simon Marshall, we interviewed him about 6 or 8 weeks ago. He's a wonderful rider. He seems to be at the crossroads.
Yes, I think that's sadly the case, Bruce. He's a wonderful talent, and it's a shame that it's being jeopardised, but I don't know. Simon has been reported, I suppose that's the term, by our Chief Type Henry Stewart to the Victoria Racing Club, our controlling body, about his failure to accept rides. And we
because
know
of his
reason.
weight problem, Keith, yeah.
Yes, but it's not professional to not be accepting rides. I can see both sides. I feel for Simon, yet I can see Pat Lawler's point of view. Just wonder, Bruce, whether it's time now to review our minimum weights, because, I mean, who walks around, what adult walks around these days at 8 stone in the old measure?
It's a fair point, Max, isn't it?
I think it has merit. I certainly won't criticise a jockey who has to waste. That's a terrible word. It's a terrible thing to have to go through. But Simon Marshall hasn't been able to accept 20 rides for which he accepted the engagement. And that's a point where the controllers of racing, the principal clubs, have got to make a stand. Now, if you raise the limits, fair enough. I recall when the limits were generally 7 stone 9, or what's 50, 49 in the 47 in the metric terms. And then people said to me, it doesn't matter whatever you go up to, there'll always be jockeys say, take it up higher. You've got to settle somewhere. Keith's got a point. We are getting bigger, particularly him, but it's got to be controlled.
Max, you were born 47 kilos.
Yeah, but I haven't had as much sake and sushi as you've had over the last month.
Well, it was
you have a lot of cheek when you're in Sydney, I'll tell you that. I'd like to be closer to you in that pool.
It was his birthday yesterday. He's allowed to have some sashi and suki on his birthday. Keith, Hong Kong, now you know this pretty well, the Hong Kong racing is exciting at the moment. 3 big races today. Yes,
the Vase, the Bowl and the Cup, the international races today, Bruce. All the best jockeys from around the world competing. And Damien Oliver's got some wonderful rides. I'm sure he's going to do Australia proud. Have you got a tip, either of you?
I think Top Rating is our best chance, Australia's best chance. Goes well on a light preparation, and I do think that you will get on Top Rating. A lot of opposition, but a very good racehorse too.
Max,
Keith?
I'm going to virtually end the year as I started it with you and agree.
Good on you, Keith. I'll catch you next week, Keith. Max, lovely to be stride for stride with you in Sydney.
We do a lap of the pool.
We'll do that in the commercial break. We'll be back after this.
The local fellas are really starting to put in they're understanding what's required. Of course, we've got to go the next step with them now. We've got to get them out playing Winfield Cup games.